Rockstar used to be rebels, so what happened? If you can't tell, that question is definitely influenced by the recent delay. I'm on kind of my Rockstar angst arc this week, is what it is. But this is a company that shut down Times Square to shoot a video game box cover. Times freaking Square. And yeah, they had the permits and everything, but that was big. And I think it speaks volumes about the kind of company they used to be. They hired PR firms to spark outrage. Then there was the whole hot coffee debacle, a blockbuster game tied to something like that. And then the ratings board had a field day with it. For 2 decades, Rockstar Games was the most fearless, rebellious studio in gaming. At least that's what they projected. The company that didn't just push boundaries, but they just straight up obliterated them. And really, I mean, they are kind of trailblazers for what is allowed in video games. Almost kind of the way South Park is for, some of the stuff you can do on TV, but that would be an entirely different video. But something has obviously changed over the years. The co-founder who wrote every major Grand Theft Auto story, well, he's gone. The producer who built Grand Theft Auto into what it is, locked out of his own office and sued for $150 million. The writers and radio personalities who created the satirical soul of the series all left within 4 years. So today, or tonight, we're investigating what really happened to Rockstar Games. And this goes a little deeper than you might think. Probably not though. To understand what Rockstar lost, you need to understand what they were. If you're like me, you remember. In the early 2000s, Rockstar wasn't just making games. They were building a reputation as kind of punk rock outlaws of the gaming world, and they really lived up to that Rockstar name. According to employees interviewed by Bloomberg, the company culture was built around drinking, brawling, and excursions to strip clubs. And as Kotaku called it, a frat boy culture. The Hauser brothers, Sam and Dan, they were absolutely relentless. In 2000, like I said, Rockstar literally shut down Times Square in New York City to photograph real street racing cars for midnight clubs. Box art, can you imagine just how brutal that was? Especially for them being a company of that size. Nowadays, you're like, sure, well, Call of Duty could do something like that. That was huge back in 2000. Huge. When Grand Theft Auto 3 launched in 2001, it revolutionized gaming. But it also made Rockstar a target. Anti-gaming attorney Jack Thompson went on a crusade against them, and Rockstar didn't back down. According to the book Jacked by David Kushner, they actually hired PR firms in the 1990s, like I said, to deliberately provoke right-wing newspapers and ensure moral backlash. They wanted the controversy, and that controversy wasn't a problem. It was the marketing strategy. It was a bad boy approach way to selling their games, and they were incredibly smart to do it because that's what sold music back in the day. If you can get that parental advisory stamp on your record, it was going to sell. And that seems to kind of be how they sold themselves. And Dan Hauser was the mastermind behind Grand Theft Auto's voice. As vice president of the creative department, he wrote or co-wrote virtually every major story in Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City, San Andreas, Grand Theft Auto 4, Grand Theft Auto 5, and both Red Dead Redemption games. His writing style was sharp, cynical, and unapologetically offensive. Then came the hot coffee scandal in 2005. When modders unlocked it, well, all hell broke loose. Hillary Clinton launched an investigation. The game was re-rated adults only, and Walmart, which had accounted for 20% of Rockstar's sales, pulled it from the shelves. Australia banned it completely. The cost? Well, it was $25 million to recall, fix, and re-release the game. And that should have destroyed them, right? No, Rockstar survived, of course, and for years, they kept that rebel mentality alive. That was great PR for them. But the thing about being big and successful and gaining a lot of money and notoriety and fame and all that kind of stuff is eventually it catches up to you and you grow too big for the foundation to support you. It's kind of like maybe you have a rock band that you grew up with and you absolutely love their first couple of albums, but eventually you're like, oh, they sold out, they got corporate. Same thing goes with the gaming industry here. Let's talk about Leslie Benzies. If you don't know the name, you should. He's behind Mind's Eye, unfortunately, but Benzies was the president of Rockstar North, the studio that has always actually made Grand Theft Auto. He was one of only 3 people in a profit-sharing agreement alongside Sam and Dan Hauser. In September of 2014, Benzies was encouraged to take a sabbatical. And while he was gone, Rockstar allegedly fired his son and several of his friends, suspended his email access, and when he tried to return to work in April of 2015, his keycard didn't work. He was locked out of his own office. In January 2016, Rockstar announced Benzies had left the company. In April 2016, Benzies sued Take-Two, Rockstar, and Sam and Dan Hauser for $150 million in unpaid royalties. Rockstar's response? Well, they issued a statement saying Benzies' departure stemmed from significant performance and conduct issues, and that his claims were entirely without merit and in many instances downright bizarre. In February 2019, the lawsuit was settled confidentially. We'll never know the full truth here, but one of the 3 architects of Grand Theft Auto's golden era was gone, and the bleeding didn't stop there. In 2018, Red Dead Redemption 2 launched to universal universal acclaim, but behind the scenes, Rockstar was facing a reckoning. In an interview with New York Magazine, Dan Houser said, "We were working 100-hour weeks several times in 2018. And with that out in the air, journalist Jason Schreier published a devastating expose titled "Inside Rockstar Games Culture of Crunch." He interviewed dozens of employees who described a company where crunch culture wasn't just expected, it was part of the identity. One former employee told Kotaku, "I was pushed further into depression and anxiety than I ever have been before. My body was exhausted. I felt like I was going insane, and I started drinking heavily." Dan Houser tried to clarify, saying he was only referring to the 4-person writing team, but the damage was done. Rockstar's work culture was under global scrutiny. And then, in the spring of 2019, Dan Houser took an extended break, and unfortunately for us, he never came back. But good on him. I sincerely hope whatever he's doing next is awesome. Maybe that's where Rockstar really went. Maybe we just need to follow Dan, see what he's up to. But on February 4th, 2020, Take-Two Interactive made an announcement. Dan Houser was leaving Rockstar Games effective March 11th, 2020. And man, let that sink in. The man who wrote the soul of Grand Theft Auto, the vice president of creative, one of the 2 co-founders, man, gone. That was the biggest blow, I think. And of course, the official statement was corporate and vague, saying, "After an extended break beginning in the spring of 2019, Dan Houser will be leaving the company." No explanation, not any sort of farewell tour, nothing really big. He's just kind of gone out of the picture. And here's what we know. Grand Theft Auto 6 started development around 2014. Dan Houser left in 2020. According to recent reports, Dan's story pitches for Grand Theft Auto 6 were reportedly rejected 3 times by Take-Two before his departure. The first pitch was a dark, noir detective story with 3 protagonists. It was rejected because they said it was too dark. The second pitch featured a policewoman and a drug smuggler and was in development for 18 months before being canned. A third version was canceled in March of 2019. After that third rejection, Dan Houser took his extended break and left. In a 2025 interview, Dan Houser himself said that Grand Theft Auto 6, it's not going to be the game that he worked on. The man who defined Grand Theft Auto's narrative voice is not involved in Grand Theft Auto 6. But the exodus didn't stop with Dan. In May of 2019, Imran Sarwar, the design director who worked on every Grand Theft Auto from Vice City to Red Dead Redemption 2, left Rockstar after nearly 2 decades. In April 2020, just 1 month after Dan's departure, Laszlo Jones left Rockstar after 19 years. Laszlo was the voice on the radio stations, or he was Laszlo. He was Laszlo in the games. He was a straight-up character in Grand Theft Auto 5, a satirical DJ persona, man. The sharp cultural commentary, it came from him. He was interesting in every single Grand Theft Auto he was in. He was funny, he was hysterical. Well, it was later revealed he left because his sister was unfortunately diagnosed with cancer. But it wasn't just that. He also said he was excited to work on new projects. And Dan Houser reached out to him shortly after and asked him to join a new studio, Absurd Ventures. And Laszlo said yes. So it's kind of like a band grew too big and then they ran into creative differences and are kind of now splintering. In 2023, Michael Unsworth, the vice president of writing and one of the only 3 writers credited on both Red Dead Redemption games, left after 16 years. Think about that. The lead writer, the radio personality, the design director, the co-founder, all gone within 4 freaking years. The Rockstar that made Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City, San Andreas, Grand Theft Auto 4, and Grand Theft Auto 5, that team doesn't exist anymore. So if that doesn't exist anymore, what replaced it? Well, starting in 2018, Rockstar began a massive internal overhaul. According to Bloomberg's Jason Schreier, the company made sweeping changes to become a more progressive company rather than a boys club, end quote there. They restructured the design department. They ousted the managers accused of abusive behavior. They added mental health and leave benefits. They converted contractors to full-time employees. And then multiple employees told Bloomberg that morale across the company is higher than it's ever been. And look, better working conditions are objectively good. Crunch culture is brutal. It's not healthy. Again, I work 100-hour work weeks. That's my choice. I choose to do that. If you're forced to do that by your company and it's something you're not personally invested in, it can just absolutely tear you apart, especially because, they're working in an office away from their families and stuff. It was rough. So better working conditions, we should all be cheering for that. But here's where it gets complicated. In May of 2020, during the George Floyd protests, Rockstar was developing a game mode for Grand Theft Auto Online called Cops and Crooks. Senior executives felt the mode was especially tone-deaf during the global reckoning over police violence. So they shelved it. Then in 2022, Bloomberg reported that Rockstar removed transphobic jokes from the new-gen remaster of Grand Theft Auto 5. The report also revealed that for Grand Theft Auto 6, Rockstar is asking its writers to be less crude towards transgenders and other minorities. Developers are being cautious not to punch down by making jokes about marginalized groups. And those are all quotes there. Now, let's be clear. Punching down a marginalized group, community, whatever, it is just lazy writing. But Grand Theft Auto's entire satirical identity was built on having a no-holds-barred against any group approach. The whole point was that everyone, rich, poor, left, right, cops, criminals, everyone is a target. The question isn't whether Rockstar should be made more thoughtful, it's whether Grand Theft Auto can still be Grand Theft Auto without that unfiltered voice. And I don't care how dumb I think you are. I don't believe in censorship at all. People should be able to express themselves. As long as you're not like physically hurting someone or driving them to do something, I don't know. It sucks. And it's no secret now that culture wars have, to some degree, gotten inside of the biggest video game franchise of all time. I mean, how could it not, though? That's just keeping with the times. And the workers, employees, people working on the games, they're going to be a reflection of the modern times. So yes, things are just naturally going to change over time. Now, quick side note here, just because I'm saying that they're going to dial things back a bit, and they probably are, I'm not saying that it's going to be some preachy mess. If you want my thoughts on that, you can watch this video. What I am saying is we're probably going to see a game much more similar to Red Dead Redemption 2 in the way that it handles its subject matter. So yes, there's still going to be funny dark humor and all that kind of stuff, but it's also probably going to have a more grounded approach. And it's not like they haven't done that before. I mean, think back to Grand Theft Auto 3 and Vice City, even San Andreas, and compare that to Grand Theft Auto 4. No one complained then. Actually, they did. Never mind. They did complain then, but a lot of people liked it. So I would expect that. I don't think the game's going to be a preachy mess, but the game does take place in modern times. You're going to see a reflection of things in Miami and Florida. You're going to see those things because they exist in our modern world, but you're also going to see everything else too. That's what they do. They basically take the culture of a region in a given time and put it on full display and make fun of everything. Even if that is toned down a bit, I do expect there to be a good amount of satire, just not so in your face, less Trevor-esque, oh, look at this, bro, kind of humor. It's just going to be toned down. Anyways, that's my 2 cents. And if that turns you off to playing the game, then I don't know what to tell you, man. I mean, there's a lot of other things to enjoy in Grand Theft Auto games. So who's in charge now? Well, you already know. It's not Dan Houser, Leslie Benzies, Laszlo, Imran Sarwar, Michael Unsworth. They're all gone. Who's running it? Sam Houser, Dan's brother, of course. He's still the president of Rockstar Games. At Rockstar North, the leadership is now Aaron Garbett and Rob Nelson. Garbett has been the art director since Grand Theft Auto 3. Nelson directed Red Dead Redemption 2. According to former Rockstar developer Oba Vermege, about 80% of the team from Grand Theft Auto 4 is still at Rockstar North. They're still veteran talent. But the creative voice, the writers, the satirists, the people who crafted the tone, they're gone. And it shows in how the company operates now. So the new Rockstar. In March 2024, Rockstar mandated that all employees return to the office, now have 5-day work weeks in office. Leadership cited productivity and security concerns, especially after the massive Grand Theft Auto 6 leaks in 2022. Sources told Kotaku that development on Grand Theft Auto 6 had started falling behind. Then on October 30th, Rockstar fired between 30 and 40 employees. Rockstar claimed that they were fired for distributing and discussing confidential information in a public forum. But here's the twist. According to the Independent Workers Union of Great Britain, all of the fired employees were members of a private union Discord channel. The union accused Rockstar of the most blatant and ruthless act of union busting in the history of the games industry. An anonymous Rockstar employee posted on GTA forums claiming the union was close to having enough members for legal recognition, and management found out about the Discord server and fired everyone in it. Rockstar denies this. Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick defended the company's culture, saying, "We're so proud of our culture." But the optics were damning. Workers trying to organize mass firings, protests outside Rockstar offices on November 6, 2025. This is not the image of a rebel company that once thumbed its nose at authority. It literally looks like the opposite. And then there's the delays. I mean, Grand Theft Auto 6 is now delayed until November. Take-Two stock dropped 6%. 10% at one point. No, I think it's roughly 6%. And the community's reaction has just been memes, frustration, and depression. So where do we go from here? Here's what we have to understand. Take-Two Interactive is a publicly traded company. They answer to shareholders. There's nothing really Rockstar-ish about answering to shareholders. Shareholders care about one thing: profit. Grand Theft Auto Online generates billions of dollars. Grand Theft Auto 5 has sold over 220 million copies. The franchise has reportedly earned billions since Grand Theft Auto 5's release in 2013. When you have that kind of financial success, everything changes. Risk becomes the enemy. Brand safety becomes paramount. Social media scrutiny is constant. So, in the 2000s, Rockstar could afford to be reckless because they were smaller. Now, they're a multi-billion-dollar entity under the microscope of investors, activists, media, and governments. So, what does this mean for Grand Theft Auto 6? What does it all mean? We know from leaks and official trailers that Grand Theft Auto 6, is going to have Lucia, a Latina woman, and is one of 2 protagonists, and this is the first for the series, and that is a cool new direction. So that is interesting and new. We know the game is set in Vice City, and it looks incredible. We know Rockstar has spent years improving work conditions and reducing crunch, and that's genuine genuinely positive. But we also know that Dan Houser, the man who wrote every major Grand Theft Auto story, is not involved. We know the writers who crafted the satirical voice are gone. We know Rockstar is deliberately trying to be less offensive and avoid punching down. And we know the game has been delayed twice, with development reportedly falling behind. Former Rockstar developer Omar Vermage is optimistic. He says that the veteran talent is still there. Aaron Garbett, Rob Nelson, Sam Houser are more than capable. And let's be real, he's probably right. But talent isn't the question. The question is, can you make a Rockstar game without the Rockstar mentality? So, what do you think? How do you think it's gonna go? I'm not gonna lie, I've had nothing but super high hopes for this game, but after seeing how things are starting to go on internally, starting to get some inklings of what's happening, it's starting to paint a picture I'm a little uncomfortable with about what we could potentially be seeing. I don't know. I could just be down because the game got delayed. Shout out time. All right, guys, I really appreciate all of your support, so I've got a couple of shout outs today. The first one we have is Loazi Koza, 8590, and forgive me about that pronunciation, man, but hope you're doing all right. Really appreciate you shouting me out, so I'm shouting you out. You shout me out, I shout you out. Then we have Cheetah77YT. Then we have Jazzman R3J. And Jazzman is hoping that they basically keep it hidden that there's potentially other states in the game if they're doing like a Bonnie and Clyde story, which, you know, they are. I don't know about other states, but I really hope so. That would be cool. Maybe we'll get like a Guarma kind of thing or something like that. Then we have Billy Midnight 95. Hey, there's a Red Dead Redemption 2 reference right there. He says he's binged all the videos. Dude, thank you so freaking much. You know what? I wouldn't complain if all of you guys did that, you know? Then we have Scary California. And then we have The Lie, but with a 6. I think that's how you pronounce it. Anyways, guys, I appreciate you watching. If you have asked for a shout out and I haven't gotten back to you, just keep commenting. I'll eventually get to you. Also, if you do ask for a shout out and you don't see me like heart or like your comment, that's totally normal. That's actually a good thing. That's how I track you down to do shout outs later. Because if I reply to you, it kind of seems to hide it in my comment section thing. So anyways, guys, really appreciate you watching. Thanks for your support. What do you think? Let me know down in the comments. If you got something out of this video, please leave it a like. Other than that, have a great rest of your day, night, week, year, whatever. Just stay safe out there. Oh yeah, here's 2 videos. Much love, guys. Peace.